Welcome to Spectrum News at 12, coming to you live from Oyo, the Akwa Ibom State capital. My name is Ofonono Joseph. Let's take a look at the top stories. President Tinubu meets with NGX Secretary Chiefs, discusses deepening reforms. Federal government launches portal to track report housing fraud. Plus, Denmark summons top U.S. diplomat over alleged Greenland influence operation. Stay tuned for details of these stories and more in just a moment. Many thanks for joining us on the news at this hour. Ubigo has met with the Director General and the Security Exchange Commission, Dr. Emomotimi Agama, and the Board of Directors of the Nigerian Exchange Group in Brazil during his state visit. A statement by the presidency today said the president praised the remarkable growth of Nigeria's capital market under his administration during the meeting. He also said the expansion of market capitalization and trading volumes reflected the strength of his policies. The president reaffirmed his commitment to supporting the market, pledging additional reforms to elevate Nigeria's financial ecosystem in line with the Renewed Hope agenda. Away from that, the federal government has launched a digital portal where Nigerians can report fraudulent activities in housing estates, submit evidence, and track the progress of their complaints. The disclosure was contained in a statement released by the Federal Ministry of Housing and Urban Development, FMHUD. The launch included demonstrations by technical consultants, Messrs. Freestone Investments Limited and Messrs. Prunej Development Technologies Limited. The ministry stressed that fraudulent practices in housing estates will no longer be tolerated and that offenders will face the full weight of the law. The newly launched Housing Fraud Reporting Portal enables citizens to report fraudulent activities in housing estates, submit evidence, and track cases. The portal, accessible via www.report.fmhud.gov.ng, provides citizens with a safe and user-friendly platform to report incidents of fraud in housing estates across the country. Meanwhile, the federal government yesterday opened talks with the leadership of the Academic Staff Union of Universities, ASU, to avert the disruption of academic activities in public universities nationwide. The meeting continues today, ahead of Thursday, the day ASU directed its chapters to commence strike if the federal government failed to meet its demands for improved welfare of its members and better funding of the education sector. The Minister for Education, Tunji Alausa, is leading the federal government team. Recall that ASU President Chris Pewuna had at a news conference in Abuja expressed displeasure with the challenges, including a hostile work environment and debilitating conditions of service faced by university teachers. He said that the unaddressed status of the 2009 FGN ASU agreement, the struggle in state universities, and the erosion of university autonomy were not in the interest of the university education system. Still in education, the Nigerian Education Loan Fund, NELFund, has warned that it will sanction tertiary institutions found culpable of fraudulent practices, including falsifying students' records, colluding with students to access loans, or failing to refund overpaid funds. This was contained in the latest operational guidelines of the student loan scheme, obtained by Newsman. The fund stated that any institution found guilty will be suspended. Further disbursement contravenes the provisions of the Student Loan Act 2024 or relevant sections of the guidelines. NELFund further noted that disbursements may also be suspended while allegations of misconduct or irregularities are under investigation. However, it clarified that suspension of institutions from receiving funds would not affect existing students already enrolled in the scheme, except in cases involving overpayments or duplicate payment. Back here, as part of his preparations to make the upcoming Yuletide most memorable in Akwa Ibom State, the state governor, Pastor Omoeno, has given December 2025 as timeline for inauguration of the world-class Ibomirais Resort project. Governor Eno, who disclosed this when he fielded questions from Government House correspondents, noted that the multifaceted recreational facility will be managed by a private recreation firm of international standard. Leading a team of investors on a tour of the resort, the governor said all the necessary operational mechanisms must first be put in place before the facility kickstarts its full operations in December to make a most eventful and exciting Christmas celebrations for Akwa Ibomites. Registering his remarks, the Chief Executive Officer and President of Digital Learning Network of Chicago, USA, Thomas Lamena, expressed excitement over the breathtaking aerial view and standard of facilities put up at the resort. Lamena commended Governor Eno for the impressive work done at the former 70 hectares once dreaded gully erosion site, having been transformed to a spectacular world-class tourism and recreation delight, and assured the governor of his organization's readiness to partner with the state government to promote more development strides of the administration. In the meantime, the Akwa Ibom State Resident Electoral Commission, REC, Independent National Electoral Commission, INEC, Obo Efanga, has reaffirmed captured in the ongoing voter registration exercise. Speaking with Spectrum Television, he explained that the exercise is available both online and physically at designated centers, stressing that citizens can begin their registration process through the INEC online portal by filling in their personal details before visiting a registration center for biometric capture. He added that those who prefer to register directly can also do so by visiting INEC offices and approved registration centers across the state. The draft process, he said, was introduced to ease access, reduce congestion, and encourage wider participation in the electoral process.
The information, take the photographs online, and then pick a center, a time and a date to come to the center to complete the process for us to take their fingerprints, and the process is completed. For you to register as a voter in Nigeria, first you must be a Nigerian and you must be up to 18 years of age at the time you come to register, not when the election would be held. For those people who have access to go online, apart from freshly online, that's why we call it pre-registration, and they only come for us to capture their fingerprints, which makes it shorter for them. So when they come, they don't have to be on the same line with people who are coming to register for the first time. So people Want to register have the option of
On the challenges faced during the process, a far-sighted minor further stated that in Akwa Ibom, the response has been positive with 543 fresh applicants in the continuous voter registration.
Sometimes the technology not working very fast, but we are working on that. And those who did online had to come and complete it. In Akwa Ibom State, across the state, we registered more than 500, and it's
The REC urged Akwa Ibomites to register for their voters card, warning those that are already registered to avoid registering again. He further urged those who have changed their place of residence, misplaced their permanent voter cards, or need corrections and their details to make use of the opportunity, stressing that the voter's card remains the only valid tool for exercising the right to vote in the forthcoming elections.
500. So we are basically looking at people who have since turned 18 after the last time we registered, and people who for some reason couldn't register all this while and they want to register, they can do that. But I know that there are some people who registered previously. They are still in a register. They may want to make changes to their information. They want to change their names, they want to change their date of birth, they want to vote in a different polling unit from where they were voting before. They can do the changes. They can do it online or come to us physically, but they will not. For those who haven't registered, this is an opportunity to register. If you've registered before, please don't attempt to register again, because you would just have wasted your time, our time, and the time of other legitimate persons who ought to register by you being on the queue. And then eventually we will still cancel that your attempt to register.
Meanwhile, residents of Ikot-Igbang and Ikot-Ikwere town in its local government area have decried and expressed displeasure over the state of their road. The road, which traverses through Ikot-Igbang, Ikot-Ikwere, Itam Police Station, Akwa Ibom Transport Company AKTC, Itam Motor Parks and other government infrastructure, according to them, have brought untold hardship because of its deplorable condition. Speaking to Spectrum Television, one of the affected persons and stakeholders in the area, Mendia Igbang, deplorable state of the road, recounted challenges faced by residents.
Actually, I think when I moved in here a year ago, I discovered that the road has been terrible like this. It's not motorable, and it's always very terrible during the rainy season. Like you can see, the mud, the flood everywhere, and then the grass is growing on the mud. So it's been a very, very inconveniencing thing, because whenever it rains like that, we cannot drive out. We have to take the other way, which is still not good. The road actually, it's not motorable, and it's always very terrible during the rainy season. Like you can see, the mud, the flood everywhere, and then the grass is growing on the mud. So it's been a very, very inconveniencing thing, because whenever it rains like that, we cannot drive out. We have to take the other way, which is still not.
Another resident who recounted her experience and that of her family on the road expressed disappointment that the government could neglect the road that leads to different government establishments without consideration.
So it's been...
Go up there, we have the D division up there, we have the park there, we have AKTC, we have the abattoir, now which we have Itam Market down there, where when there's a population or in terms of traffic, most motors can divert and move. And besides too, in terms of emergency, there's a police station there. So like you see this place now, it's because there's no rain. When there's rain, it turns a swamp. Nobody walk around here. At the time we have crime, the policemen cannot cross over here to arrest situation. Rather they want to go and turn a long road. Well, the police station is just here, we are point hand here. If we walk down to that house, we'll see it. So it has become a problem to us. People living here flood. Like the last month we had flood. Property worth millions of naira were lost here. Almost about 30 houses were flooded. Water from Afawabawita comes here. Water from Ikot-Igbang comes here. Water from Ikot-Ikwere comes here. So at the end of the day, all the water will come here. So if the government will come in now to assess this road and bring in drainage. So when the water comes, they put a drainage, all the water will pass through here. Without that, maybe in the next future, people will vacate this area.
Others who shared their losses in their businesses as a result of the bad road expressed sadness and uncertainties about the future of their businesses as customers find it difficult to access their shops as a result of the deplorable state of the road. They appeal to the Akwa Ibom State government to come to their aid.
When there is a heavy rainfall, everywhere is flooded with water, and people living there, doing business, they are suffering. Especially for the business to come and repair the road for us, because we living here, doing business here, if it does that.
The thing has been affecting my business because due to the barrel, people cannot come here to buy something, and neither this other side is even better than this other side. So people do fall inside there when they are coming to buy something from there. They want the government to at least help us repair the road for us so that the road can be better.
We move now to Africa, where a new round of talks between the Democratic Republic of the Congo and Rwanda-backed M23 rebels is underway in Doha. The two parties are looking to reach agreement on how to implement a Qatari brokered truce they signed last month. Reports say despite that deal and an earlier one signed between Kinshasa and Kigali in Washington, fighting has continued in the DRC's North and South Kivu provinces. The latest round of talks will focus on a draft. It involves plans to create a mechanism for monitoring the truce as well as exchange of prisoners. On the foreign scene, Denmark's foreign minister has summoned the top U.S. diplomat in Copenhagen following a report that American citizens have been conducting covert operations in Greenland. Reports say the aim was to infiltrate Greenland society and promote its succession from Denmark to the U.S., although it was unable to clarify who the men were working for. Meanwhile, Danish intelligence warned Greenland was being targeted by various kinds of influence campaigns. Foreign Minister Lars Rasmussen said any attempt to interfere in the internal affairs of the Kingdom of Denmark will be unacceptable, adding that the U.S. charge d'affaires had been summoned in that light. However, U.S. President Trump has said several times he wants to annex Greenland, an autonomous part of the Kingdom of Denmark, and Vice President J.D. Vance accused Copenhagen of investing in the territory. Still on the foreign scene, Donald Trump's steep 50% tariffs on India have kicked in weeks after the U.S. president issued an executive order imposing an additional 25% penalty on India over its purchase of Russian oil and weapons. This makes India one of the U.S.'s strongest partners in the Indo-Pacific, among the countries paying the highest tariffs in the world. Reports say the tariff setback has sent the Indian government into firefighting mode. Recall that earlier this month, Indian Prime Minister Narendra Modi made a promise to cut taxes to mitigate their economic impact. He also urged domestic self-reliance, calling on small shop owners and businesses to put abodes of Swadeshi or made in India outside their stores. Still to come in the news. Wolves reject £55 million Newcastle bid for Strand Larsen. Stay tuned for details of the stories and more in a jiffy. Welcome back. Thank you for staying with us. On our business news, the federal government of Nigeria has successfully allotted a total of 136 billion naira in its recently concluded 5- and 7-year bond auctions, with marginal rates of 17.9% and 18% respectively. According to the AFRA documents on its website, the new 5-year federal government August 2030 bond and the 7-year federal government June 2032 bond were auctioned on August 25, 2025 and are set to settle today. According to the Debt Management Office, the range of bids for the 5-year bond was between 12.5% and 21.5%, while bids for the 7-year bond ranged from 15% to 22%. Successful bids were allotted at marginal rates of 17.9% and 18% respectively. Still in business, the Central Bank of Nigeria, CBN, has issued a fresh directive mandating all participants in the country's payment ecosystem to complete migration to the ISO 2022 messaging standard and implement mandatory geotagging of payment terminals by October 31, 2025. In a circular published on its website, the Apex Bank reminded deposit money banks, microfinance bank, mobile money operators, switching and processing companies, payment terminal service providers, payment solution service providers, super agents, and other licensed operators that ISO 20022 is now the global benchmark for payments messaging. The circular signed by the Director of the Payment System Supervision Department, Dr. Rakia Yusuf, stated that the move aligns with SWIFT's global migration timeline and is intended to standardize quality data across Nigeria's financial system. The CBN stressed that compliance with these requirements is not optional and warned that all in-scope institutions must complete migration activities and achieve full compliance before the October 31 deadline. We move over to health. The Osun State government has commenced the enrollment of about 1,100 inmates at the Ilesha and Ile-Ife correctional centers into its free health insurance scheme. The Executive Secretary of the Osun State Health Insurance Agency, Dr. Razak Akindele, disclosed this in Osogbo. He explained that the initiative followed a request by the State Controller of Corrections, Rotimi Olalekon, who appealed for government support in addressing the health needs of inmates. Akindele noted that Governor Ademola Adeleke had previously directed the free enrollment of pensioners into OHIS, giving them access to comprehensive health care. He said over 26,000 pensioners are currently benefiting, while similar initiatives have been extended to people with disabilities, who also received life support gadgets, as well as students in public schools. Still in sports, home-based Super Eagles captain Junior Nduka has joined Iraqi club Elbiu FC. Nduka put pen to paper on a 3-year contract with Elbiu FC. The centre-back played a crucial role in Remo Star's title-winning campaign last season. His departure will leave a big vacuum in the Nigeria Premier Football League NPFL champions' defense. Wolves have rejected a second Newcastle bid for striker Jürgen Strand-Larsen, who scored twice in the win over West Ham. The Magpies had returned with a £55 million offer after a £50 million approach was turned down earlier this week. Strand-Larsen, who only made his loan move from Celta Vigo permanent for £23 million this summer, came off the bench to score twice in the final 8 minutes as Wolves beat West Ham 3-2 in the EFL Cup on Tuesday. Reports say boss Victor Pereira afterwards refused to rule out a sale, even though he wants to keep the forward. On our entertainment news, pop superstar Taylor Swift has announced she is engaged to her partner, Travis Kelce. She made this known in a post on Instagram, accompanying the post with photos showing Kansas City Chiefs star Kelce proposing to Swift. The announcement of the engagement comes just days after the singer gave a rare insight into her relationship with Kelce during a highly anticipated appearance on his podcast. And that's all we have for you at this time. Do ensure to follow us on all our social media handles and subscribe to our YouTube channel, all of which you can find on our website, spectrumtvlive.ng. You have been watching Spectrum News at 12. I am Ofonono Joseph. Thank you so much for watching. Good afternoon.